So speak life when the sun won't shine and you don't know why. Look into the eyes of the broken hearted. Watch them come alive as soon as you speak hope. You speak love. You speak life.
You are listening to a show called Dealing with Life. Very, very glad to have you along. This is something that happens every single week at this time. We feature guests who have gone through stuff, people who have dealt with difficult issues and found victory and also a deepened faith through that process. We also talk with people who have been called to help others. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith, a book about life, a book about worry through the innocent eyes of a dog. On the other end of the microphone today with us is a man who kind of fits both categories. Bruce Adams, how are you?
I'm well, Tom, and it was one of those categories, the dog that loves you.
No, you've gone through stuff, and you also help people most importantly, we'll introduce you as an ordained minister. You are a licensed pastor for the Methodist, United Methodist locally, and also you are an event producer.
That's correct, and I'm not ordained. I am locally licensed. There's a difference, and it has to do with seminary in college. But that's funny because in my senior year at UT, so many years back now.
That was back a week ago, right?
Oh, yeah, so many years back. I had an opportunity, about 2 months from graduation, to go on the road playing music. And all through my life, playing music has been part of who I am.
Oh, that is you. Yes,
and
definitely.
And I still love music today. Now, my parents, they didn't think it was the smartest move, but God had a different plan, because what I did is for the next 10 years, I led bands all across the country, and eventually I settled in a Knoxville group called the Step Brothers.
That's when I met you.
Right.
That was early 80s, maybe?
Early 80s. I can still remember the T-shirts. It said, "Not just a bunch of pretty faces."
Yes.
But Knoxville was a different town at that time. Not letting any secrets out, but you could gamble anywhere in town. And because of that, there was always a lot of opportunities to play. And
yes.
You could actually make a living playing music. You would play in front of one of the local gambling spots, and you'd entertain 10 or 20 people because everybody was in the back gambling.
Oh, right.
But when they came to bust them, it was always entertaining. They never arrested us. We just got to watch.
We're the band. We're
just with the band.
I don't know anything. I don't know any of these people.
I wouldn't advise any young people to try to get to where I ended up in the circuitous route I took.
Which is a long journey.
Oh, and a crooked road journey.
Well, but you have ended up on the better side of it,
without a doubt.
Well,
without a doubt.
Let's go through that journey a little bit. You were and are a very very accomplished keyboard player and singer, and so you were with the Step Brothers in the '80s. Where did you go from there?
Well, the interesting thing about the Step Brothers is that no one in the band knew anything at all about what it takes to be on the road as a musician. They knew nothing about negotiating with the club owners. They knew nothing about equipment. They knew nothing about any of those kind of things.
They just wanted to perform.
They were mostly all old Southern gospel singers, and were going after a country market. And because I was the one that knew how to deal with club owners, how to deal with production, etc., that fell into my hands.
Bruce, you handle it.
That's right.
Okay.
One interesting time when the rest of the group found out that maybe they ought to listen to a few things that I said. We were had a lot of luck with local singles. WIVK played us. And the first big show we were opening for Ronnie Millsap at the Coliseum.
Oh, wow.
Was a WIVK shindig at the time.
Yeah.
And I told the guys, I said, "Guys, we need to send some information to the production people so that they'll know what we're doing and where the lights should shine and where the microphones should be."
That's preparation.
It is. I was poo-pooed on all of that. Oh, no, they knew who we are. They're going to take care of us.
Okay.
And so I said, all right. And so that night we come running in, and they start throwing us up, and they go, oh, you're the piano player? Well, you can play Ronnie's piano, just don't touch any of the amplification stuff. Don't change his tones or anything.
Okay.
I said, no worries. I'll sit down there and play. And now, who are these guys? Well, those are the three singers. Oh, well, y'all stand out front. Little did they know that every light in the rig was pointed at Ronnie Millsap.
So you became the leader.
I became the most lighted person on that stage that night. They were out in the dark. And at the end of it, they came up to me one at a time and went, next time we're going to tell them. And I said, yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea.
Well, maybe you'll listen to me.
But that all just came together to teach me a skill set and to improve my skill set for the production side of the business.
So, okay. So that takes you you went to Bandit Lights.
I did. When I finally admitted to myself that I was not going to be a country star, I had to look for a real job.
Yeah, that's when you realize the music business can be very difficult.
Yes, it was.
Very difficult to succeed.
So just before moving over to Bandit, I worked for a small little television company. It's called Cinetel Productions.
Oh, yeah.
Ross Bagwell, Sr., was an amazing man, still is. He taught me so much about the business, the television business, the production business.
Right.
And so for many years, we shot a 30-minute sitcom. We did one a day. That's 5 a week, which was unheard of, even in those days. And so through that, had an amazing time, met great people, but learned a lot about the back page, if you will, the background of how to shoot television.
Well, you saw behind the scenes and you saw what it takes. Now, for those of that don't know, Ross Bagwell and the big center that he developed ended up being purchased by Scripps Networks and is now HGTV. So
That's correct.
So that footprint's been there a long time.
That is correct. Ross Sr. had more to do about making Knoxville, Tennessee a television production center than any one person.
Agreed.
Now,
Totally.
Kennedy Maxwell was doing film business and
they
doing
were both
great stuff.
pioneers. Absolutely.
They were. But Ross Bagwell knew how to cut a deal. And we had so many great shows. I met Roy Rogers. I met Gene Autry. It was Louis Grizzard. We shot specials for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
Pat
amazing.
Boone.
Yeah.
It was truly amazing. We went all over the country shooting all kinds of shows, and a lot of people thought that Ross Sr. was a little hard to deal with. I never ever found that. I found that he would tell you exactly what he wanted, what he expected, and if you did that, easy man to get along with.
Well, yeah. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, nothing at all. He funny guy too.
Yeah,
very, very funny guy.
So I-40 Paradise and Cinetel Productions, and then on to Bandit.
That's right. We got to a point where I wanted to be more than an audio person.
Okay.
And that's how I really got into I-40 Paradise. Started out holding a fishpole over a wild wall.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
That's right. And also, being a new guy, I took all of the heat from the old veterans.
Okay.
And because I could take that heat and not go running away, they accepted me.
Okay.
And so once again, more education, more learning by keeping my mouth shut, by watching, by always being willing to help.
Absolutely.
And I finally got an understanding, and I went to Senior, Ross Bagwell Sr., and I said, Senior, I think I can sell this stuff. And he said, well, he called me B.A. Well, B.A., we've already got a salesman. I really don't see you in that role. And I said, well, I understand. Then next week's my last week. What? I said, I'm moving across the street to a little company called Bandit Lights, and they do need a salesman.
There you go.
And that's how it started.
Okay. And Bandit Lights, of course, is another icon here in town that's just, they have taken that worldwide, and it's just incredible and you saw it you start so from the early days.
When we first started, we were in a small single bay warehouse off Shore Lake Road, and Bandit really had two clients at the time, the Judds and Ronnie Millsap.
Oh, how about that?
And country music was not ready to explode as of yet.
Right. Right. Garth Brooks hadn't come yet.
He was on the way, but he hadn't come yet.
Right.
So during that time, I started a grip side of Bandit because I had come from television. For those of you out there, the grip and electric are it's the lights,
all
the
equipment.
stands,
Yes.
the equipment.
Yeah.
So we started doing that, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and tons of shows that we actually brought in rock and roll lighting, and so we were able to do a lot of that business.
Okay. So
And,
you helped it grow.
I did. I was a good salesperson, and Mike Strickland told me that Bruce, whatever you can promise, I'll back up.
Okay.
And he did.
That's fair.
And he did. And we were able to just do amazing things. And from my time with the Step Brothers, I had really good relationships with the good folks at WIVK.
Okay.
This was the time that WIVK had switched from doing shindigs to listener appreciation
And
days.
those were big parties.
Huge.
Big.
We would fill the World's Fair Park up every year.
Incredible.
And it just so happened, since I was friendly with WIVK and I was working at Bandit, I went to Mickey Dearstone and Bobby Denton, both just heroes of the radio in this
Absolutely.
market. And I said, hey, guys, we're going to do your Listener Appreciation Day for you. And Bobby Denton, what a wonderful guy. I mean, just a character, but
He's
what
a
a
nut.
wonderful.
Yeah.
He said, okay, Bruce, come on. And Mickey Dearstone taught me that don't pay any attention to what the agents say. You tell them what we're going to do.
Okay, there you go.
And it was funny, but through that, we were able to take Alan Jackson on as a client.
Oh, my.
Brooks and Dunn, Billy Ray Cyrus, and of course Garth Brooks,
So,
Tim McGraw.
which meant all of a sudden Bandit Lights was worldwide.
It was funny. I will share a story with you. Mike Strickland and I always had an agree to disagree. I was sort of a free spirit, and he was trying to build a business. And I came up to him one day and I said, Mike, I've got us a tour. And he looked at me sort of askance, and he goes, well, who might that be? And I said, well, it's a young man named Alan Jackson. And he said, ain't no way. He said, Ricky Farr has that account, and Ricky Farr hates me.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, but Alan's tour manager used to be my steel player, and he loves me.
Oh, my.
And Mike said,
And
yeah.
that one wins.
And Mike said, oh, yeah. And I said, Ricky Farr is going to be calling you. And Mike snorted at me and laughed. And it wasn't just 3 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
Mike Strickland, Ricky Farr.
Oh, gosh.
And so we got Alan Jackson.
Wow.
And then Mike saw that there was a relationship there and that I really loved country music. And he just said, go after it. And they all fell, one right after the other.
How about that?
But most every one of those relationships started at a Listener Appreciation Day.
With WIVK.
With WIVK.
How about that?
And I was just right there, right in their face, and it was amazing.
Oh,
We had
that's
an amazing
really
run.
interesting. So, when we come back here in a second, yes, this all sounds glamorous. This all sounds fun. You traveled a lot, and you were hobnobbing and rubbing elbows with all kind of people, but that doesn't always mean it's the brightest of roads. And so we're gonna talk about that. This show is called Dealing with Life, and life you have dealt with, and you come out looking great now. But we got to talk about that.
We can.
And unpack it. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Dealing with Life. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith, and we will deal with more in just one moment.
Just hold on to the promises. Hold on to the promises. Jesus is alive, so hold tight. Hold on to the promises.
Whether by accident or whether on purpose, you have found a show called Dealing with Life. Tremendously glad to have you along for the ride. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith. That's a book about life, about trust, about worry through the eyes of an innocent dog. If you're a dog lover or a worrier or a little bit of both or a lot of both, I believe you'll like it. It's available through Amazon, it's available through barnesandnoble.com, and it's also available locally, like places like Long's Drug Store, Christian Bookstore, Farragut Pharmacy, and more. In the studio with me today is Bruce Adams, who has so many departments of history in the television business, in the music business here around. We left off, the bookmark we made was you were still with Bandit Lights. You were selling and you were helping Bandit Lights grow like crazy. So take us from there.
Well, we were in the middle of it, and it seemed like that we were golden. Everything we touched.
You had Alan Jackson. You had Garth Brooks. Goodness, you guys were doing the lights for how many? I don't know.
Brooks and Dunn, Billy Ray Cyrus, Tim McGraw. Not to count the other accounts that came alongside, but these were the ones that I had my hand in.
Sure.
Interesting with Billy Ray. A lot of people laughed at Billy Ray Cyrus, but I think he's gotten the last laugh on most everyone. Interesting character. I remember the very first show we did, we opened up with no rehearsal at the Spectrum in Philly.
Okay.
A very hard union building, Teamster building. And so we got in, and we were just about ready for the show, and Billy Ray walked up, and he said, "Hey, where's my flag?" And I looked at him and I said, "Flag?" He goes, "Yeah, the flag that comes down when I sing Some Gave All." And I went, "Oh, well."
Oh, that flag.
That flag. Well, just give me a few minutes. Thank God, and I mean this exactly in that way, thank God that we were in Philadelphia, the home of the flags.
Yes.
And within an hour, we were able to find a 60-foot American flag.
Holy smoke.
And a rigger there showed me how to take some black sewing thread and a rigging rope and make a fall, a way to roll the flag up so no one sees it until it's time for it to unfurl.
And its glory.
And its glory. And I have used that many, many times. It seems that no matter where I am, no matter what situation I am in, there's something to learn, something to take from it.
From the many years that I have known you, I don't believe there's anything that stumps you. When somebody says, "I need a blank," you end up coming up with it. That's just amazing to me.
I've just been very, very fortunate. My father was in the Air Force. We traveled around the world. I had to make friends quickly everywhere we went because we were moving every 2 to 3 years. So I had to think on my feet through the whole thing.
I hear you.
As I've told you earlier, I didn't complete college. But throughout it all, I've had to be able to think on my feet. And being one of the tallest people in the room, normally, it's easy for people to see me.
I did have to adjust the microphone a little bit.
But through that, the glitz and the glamour, people going, "Oh, you get to go here, you get to go there." But more close to the truth is you end up on a tour bus with 12 to 15
smelly
guys.
Yeah.
And the reason they keep the air conditioner so cold is so that the funk doesn't get too bad.
It settles on the floor, right.
But the truth of the matter is, I was in a position where I was easily and gratefully and willingly partaking in all that was around me.
That's where the story changes from glamour to real.
And it was real. Back then, the drug of choice was primarily cocaine. You do cocaine for most of the day and then a few Valiums to ease you out. I guess I was what most people would call a functioning alcoholic, except it wasn't alcohol.
Right.
It was drugs.
Wow.
And it got so bad, it got to the point that I'd miss an airplane if I didn't have, my cocaine or whatever I wanted for that time. And through this all, I was getting probably a little uppity on my own and then fueled by the cocaine. And one day, Mike and I had a discussion, and it didn't end the way either one of us wanted it to.
Mike of Bandit Lights.
Mike
Yeah.
Strickland, Michael Strickland, right? And so I said, well, I'm going to go I've got some vacation days. I'll take a vacation. When I get back, we'll talk it through. When I got back, there was a FedEx on my doorstep. And basically it said, hey, you've got us all the work we can deal with. Your position has been eliminated. So there I was thinking, what in the world am I going to do? But it just so happened that one of the last clients that I had picked up was television wrestling, World Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, that little thing called World Championship Wrestling.
And actually, right
billion-dollar industry. Yeah.
Right before that, I got World Wrestling Federation. It was WWF at the time.
Okay.
I got that, and we were going through those both. But once Mike had eliminated my position, I was thinking, what am I going to do? And the phone rang, and it was David Crockett. David Crockett was my mentor in World Championship Wrestling. His father started that wrestling organization and sold it to Turner.
Okay.
And David was a wonderful man. And he called me up and he goes, hey, I heard you got some time on your hands. I said, yes, sir.
News travels fast.
And he said, well, I tell you what, come on down to Atlanta. I got a job for you. And I was in Atlanta 2 days later, and I became a production manager for World Championship Wrestling.
Goodness. Okay.
Now, fortunately, I knew how to go into arenas. Garth Brooks taught us how to go into an arena, light the whole arena, those artists. And so I
Make
knew,
a production out of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about from one end to the other.
Yeah. Make it a show.
And I knew some television because of Ross Bagwell Sr., so I had a live production background, a television production background. I didn't really know how to run the consoles. I didn't know how to deal with that, but I knew how to deal with the buildings. I knew how to deal with the unions.
You know what it needed to look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And David Crockett, what a blessing he was to me in my life. And he said, it's your job. You can have it as long as you want it.
How about that?
And I spent...
so you were being groomed even then you didn't know it.
I didn't even know it.
No.
But my skill set that I had learned along the way, I didn't realize there was actually a place to use it all. And David was such a good man, and WCW was such a great experience. But during that time, talk about drug use. The drug use that I had started and got into a pretty good habit at Bandit, it continued right on, because in the professional wrestling, television wrestling business, there's a lot of drug use. There's folks
That's so sad.
They work hurt. We were doing 18, 20 hours a day, So a lot of people were taking a lot of things. And it came to me one day that I had inadvertently maybe put myself in a position that I could do drugs and work.
Oh my.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't planned, but I think something inside me led me to that at that time.
Wow.
If you were to count all the years, it was probably a 20-year cocaine habit.
Man, that's tough. That's tough. Now, in a moment, we're going to talk about a turning point, because you're still walking.
It's the best part.
Yes, this is the best part. That's a dark road. Yeah. Yes, it was a glamorous job, and yes, you did a lot of things with a lot of people, but something tells me it would have gone nowhere had you continued. Well, you would have gone 6 feet down.
I would have been dead, there's no doubt.
Yeah. Well, in a moment, we're going to talk about the turning point, which is so glorious. This is a show called Dealing with Life. I'm Tom Baker, and we're so glad that you're a part of this, because I believe you'll benefit. Whether you're dealing with something yourself or you know somebody who is dealing with something, God has a way out, and He has a way up. And joy, no matter what your situation, joy is attainable and is waiting for you to grab on. The beautiful thing about God is He doesn't care where you've been. He cares where you're going. This is Dealing with Life. I'm Tom Baker. We'll deal with more in just a moment.
I do believe I'm feeling stronger every day.
You are in the midst of another installment of Dealing with Life. Really glad to have you along. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith, and we have been talking with Bruce Adams. It's hard to summarize for those who haven't been along with us so far, but in basic terms, you're a local musician, you're a local events producer, you are a local licensed pastor, and we've been talking mostly about your time when you were with Bandit Lights as a salesman and you helped them grow to be a worldwide company. And also, as you and that company parted ways, you ended up with the Worldwide Wrestling Federation?
World Championship Wrestling.
Thank you. Okay, so you were doing producing and doing all kinds of events with them. The difficult part of that, as glamorous as it sounds, was a passionate relationship with drugs. Can we say that?
Without a doubt. And I took it straight from Bandit Lights right into my new position with World Championship Wrestling. And, you know, drugs, they seem like a great thing until they don't.
Well, isn't that the way the devil works? He makes it sound and feel so great until you're completely dependent on it. It looks as if there's absolutely no way to claw yourself out.
There were times in my life that I said I would never go ahead. I could not see life without drugs. And I know there's people out there even today with all the opioids and stuff that are thinking the same thing. But there I was, and daily drug user. And like I said, it ended up being about a 20-year cocaine addiction. But one day, we had been going around the country for years, and one day the big news came. We were headed to Panama City, Florida, for a bash at the beach. Mm-hmm. And David Crockett came up to me and he said, Bruce, said, they haven't let everybody know, but we're going to announce on the air tonight that we are selling WCW. At the time,
that cannot be good news.
Not for all of those that were making a living and
working for them. Yeah,
yeah. At the time, WCW was owned by Turner. Ted Turner's TBS and Turner Sports actually. Okay. But AOL, you remember that?
Yeah,
AOL?
America Online.
That's right. Well, AOL at the time was the hottest thing since sliced bread, and they had so much money that they bought Time Warner, and Time Warner at the time. Through their cables and all of that, they actually owned Turner Sports.
Oh my goodness!
Who owned WCW?
You've got mail.
Yeah. And AOL said that they felt that their brand was, I'm paraphrasing, but pretty close, was more highbrow than television wrestling.
Oh, we can't have that. Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha.
So they said, we're going to get rid of it. And so in the way that wrestling always is, they're going to make a show out of anything that they have. And so they made a show of that night about being sold. And the WWE folks, they were WWE, but then they had come down. And they were as part of the show, and they actually bought us on the air.
My goodness.
So David had talked to me earlier in the day, letting me know what was going on. And he said, Bruce, if you want, you can move to Stamford, Connecticut, keep your same position, and just keep right on going. But there was something tugging at me harder and harder every day. And basically I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And, starting the day with drugs, ending the day with drugs, always looking for drugs, making that part of my life. And so that evening, everything went through, we sold. It was time for us to just move on. So all of us that were out of work, we said, well, let's go and do what you always do when you're out of work. We'll go drinking and drugging. So we were going to a club that had been in Panama City, probably still there. It's called Club La Villa. And I reached into my nightstand in my hotel room, and I was looking for a phone book so I'd get a cab to take me to the club. Instead of the phone book, I opened up a Gideon's Bible.
Oh, my.
And I know I can tell it without a doubt that I was high at the time. Mm-hmm. And I just flopped that down, I thought for a second, and it just happened to open to Kings. And it was the story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal and Jezebel.
Okay.
And I read, and I just kept reading, and I kept reading, and amazing stuff. And if y'all know the story, Elijah said, "Hey, let's have a competition. I'll build an altar to my God. You build an altar to your God.
Right.
And while you're building, I'm going to soak mine down about 4 or 5 times."
Just so you won't question.
That's right. And some people actually said that in one translation that Elijah turns across and says, "What's the matter? Is your God in the bathroom?" So when Elijah called upon God, that soaked wood burnt to a crisp. And at that point he said, and by the way, kill the prophets of Baal. And he did. And then Jezebel sent word that to Elijah that his life was not worth anything because he did to her priests, and she would see that the same happened to him.
Gotcha.
And that just hit me. That hit me how life, you can be at the top one moment and running for your life, scared the next,
Yeah.
And I never did go out that night. I read and read till the sun came up, and then I got packed and ready to leave, get back on the bus to go home. And I called my daughter. I said, "Hey, babe, I'm coming home." By then, I destroyed my marriage and 10 years of drinking and drugging. But I took care of my little girl, and I said, "Dad's coming home." And she said, "Well, Dad, that's great." She said, "We're starting a contemporary service in the basement of the church, and we need a piano player."
Just like that.
Just like that. And I went home, broke as Cooter Brown. I never was good to manage money. The worship leader position didn't pay anything, but I met an amazing woman at church, and her name was Melanie.
Mm-hmm.
And Melanie and I got to know one another, and she said she fell in love with my hands watching me play the piano. And I wished I could say that God cured me just like that of that addiction, but it took God and Melanie about 9 months fighting, cussing, screaming, until I could truly say, "I'm done with it."
Praise God.
And that was in April of 2001, and never cocaine since. Just, it was truly a cure.
That's huge.
And
yeah, some things like that, it does not happen overnight.
Not for me.
But the step of wanting to turn to God, to be drawn to God, and then having the opportunity to meet the right people at the right time to help turn your life around and find life instead of death. What an amazing story.
Well, and little did I know that I went about it the way that a lot of the rehabilitation places and stuff would advise.
Okay.
I surrounded myself with accountability partners. I let everyone know what it was that I needed to not be doing. Everyone was aware of my past. Everyone was aware. They were all watching. I placed myself in a church. I let the church know.
Wow.
So I built this wall of accountability partners. And believe you me, they were good partners. They watched me with an eagle eye.
Yeah.
My wife, Melanie, watched me with an eagle eye. I could tell you
And you were okay with that?
Oh, I was thankful for that.
Yeah.
I was thankful for that.
Just you saw people reaching for you.
That's right, because I couldn't do it on my own. But you know what? The most important part, and the part that even today I share at the drop of the hat, is that in that hotel room, sun coming up, reading the Word, in my mind, I was so far away from God that I knew of no way to get back. But I did the one thing I knew how to do.
What's that?
I said, "Lord, I need your help." And when I raised my hand, lo and behold, he was already reaching down for me. You see, he had never left.
No.
I had left.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had built
You
that
closed your
wall.
eyes to him. He didn't close his eyes to you.
Absolutely. And he was there. And just to sort of to bring the cherry to the top, came back, started playing in the worship service, met Melanie. Melanie and I got married in that same worship service.
What a blessing.
And I looked at her and I said, I'm not sure how we're going to make a living. And she said, "Well, take your skill set and give it to God." And I said, all I know are sound and lights and stages. And she goes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. She said, start with youth. And so we did. I started looking around and I found some youth conferences. And I went and I said, hey guys, this is what I've done for 30 years.
Yeah, in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
Is there anything I might do to help? I get shivers even now. We probably see 250, 300,000 young people a year now.
Yeah, see, I know what you do.
We've never looked back.
There's this little thing in Gatlinburg. Well, actually, it's in Pigeon Forge now because it got too big for Gatlinburg to handle. And this is just one of the, I don't know how many you do a year, but there's a thing called Resurrection. It's a youth conference that houses 12,000 kids in February?
January.
End of January.
End of January.
And I've been to many of them. All three of my daughters have gone, attended, and it has just been, it's powerful what happens at those weekend conferences where you have speakers, you have a band, you have a production that draws them in and they walk in and they go, hey, this is awesome. But then they get this message that just turns them on their ear, and it's so powerful, and you're behind it.
Well, and I got to tell you, it just amazes me even today how God has allowed me to take this happenstance collection of skills and bring them together to be able to use them for Him and for the kingdom.
Yeah.
We are blessed. Resurrection, Hearts on Fire, Revolution, Warmth in Winter, Youth Quest, the National United Methodist, Wells. It's on and on. It goes on and on.
Absolutely. And you are the production team that makes that look like and sound like and be what it is.
And you're right. But it's not me, because once again, I don't know how to run the consoles, especially now they're all digital. I don't know how to do.
You connect the dots.
I found a young man. Melanie and I found a young man. His name was Joseph Davis, and he was working at a local karaoke place. And I just said to him, what'd you like to do? He said, I'd really like to have my own video company. And I said, Joseph, if you'll come along with us, I'll see that happens.
Joey Davis.
Davis.
What a magical guy that you have right at your right hand.
Streamlined Productions, and we grew it from nothing using a borrowed trailer with some video equipment to he probably has millions of dollars worth of video gear now.
And a good man. What a good
wonderful man and wonderful family. And he has allowed me to grow older and become just hugging the babies and kissing the clients, or kissing the babies and hugging the clients.
You look good.
And boy, do they. And he has got such a great team, all of them planted in their churches. It's just amazing. God is taking care of me even now.
Wow. I just love to see God make blessings out of our battles. It's just so powerful. In just moments, we'll have just a bit of time left to kind of connect the dots and see exactly what is behind that smile you have. This is Dealing with Life. I'm Tom Baker. We will be back in moments. You have been experiencing a show called Dealing with Life. I'm Tom Baker. Really hope you have enjoyed what we've talked about. With me in the studio is Bruce Adams, who has been with Bandit Lights. He's been a professional musician. He has been with the World Championship Wrestling as a producer. You've done shows all across the world with huge names, Alan Jackson, Garth Brooks, and whatnot, and that involved drugs. And we talked a lot about that, and your amazing story of turning and just stopping your life and going, God, what do you do with all this. And you are a locally licensed pastor, but you put on, you are a producer for youth events all across this nation, huge youth events, and just exposing the word and exposing the power and glory of God to all kinds of youth. And what I want to talk about in the minutes we have remaining, just like me, your life appeared to be a mess. And God took those things that He led you through and helped you develop. And then now, once you gave up and said, God, take it, He took it. And what does that mean to you?
Well, it meant everything. It meant more. The very most important thing I think that it meant is that I wasn't alone. I don't know, many of y'all out there, maybe in your drug addiction, maybe in your problems in life, your financial problems, whatever, it seems like the nights are the longest, and when you feel like you're alone and hopeless, helpless, nothing to do. You know, I've got myself in this mess, but I can't get out. But with God, you're never alone. And I have found that if you just open yourself up to allow the Spirit to be within you, and that you spend time in the Word, you spend time praying, you spend time talking to God, that the more that you spend that time, the more that He erases the negative around you.
Yeah. The devil is very good.
Oh.
At once we have landed ourselves in a dark place, the devil is very good. I think his most powerful tool is just to plant in our head, you can't get out of this. It is hopeless. And the problem is we believe it.
And to the worst is that it's the shame and the guilt that you carry within yourself that he thrives on.
Yeah.
Oh, if anybody knew you were like that. Oh, these people you think you're your friends, if they knew that you did that. You know, and he does that to keep you inside, to keep you covered.
And to make you think that God can't help you.
Can't help you or doesn't want to help you. You're not worthy of that. But for God. And, you know, it's I could go on and on and on. But the truth of the matter is, no matter how deep you're in, no matter what you've done, no matter how little you think of yourself or how little you think others think of you, God loves you.
Oh, yeah.
God loves you. And He is right there. He's never far away. I thought I had left Him far behind. I had just turned my head. He was there all that time.
All the time.
And
He took all these strengths that you have and all these different dealings and connected the dots and made a power center. I mean, it's amazing.
One of the greatest things He did is He put Melanie in my life.
Yeah.
Melanie was a strong Christian. Listen, you can turn to God. You can do everything that you think that you need to do. But what you need to do more than anything else is stay in the Word, stay in prayer, and surround yourself with strong Christians.
Yeah. Yeah. And people can say what they want to about church, because a lot of people who don't go to church just view it as a bunch of hypocrites. Now, church is full of people who are struggling. Yes, but they're also full of people who are reaching.
Amen.
And God is reaching back all the time. But church has people who will help others, because a lot of them have been there.
Without a doubt. And you know, it becomes so easy because sometimes you walk into church and they go, oh, everything is fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did that.
I'm great. You're great. No.
You can dig just about an inch deep.
We're all broken, or we know someone that's broken, or we are.
But the thing about church is it is a place where broken people can find true help.
Amen. I agree with that.
And it's so powerful. It is such a life-transforming thing that there's joy. And there are smiles, and those smiles, and not everybody, but most people who have found the joy of God and the power of the grace of Christ, you really smile.
Amen.
And things that we thought were so important, the things that we used to hold on so tightly, if it breaks, then we fall apart. God never breaks.
Never breaks. And I'll tell you, life still has problems.
Yeah.
I helped a few friends last summer and decided we were going to take a venture, and I lost $100,000
Ouch.
that I didn't have to lose.
Yeah.
But you know what? Instead of devastating me, I just went to the Lord. Father, how am I going to work through this? And I'm not going to tell you that he showered $100,000 on me.
Well, that ain't the way he rolls.
No, it's not. He said, Bruce, we'll walk our way out of it just like you walked your way in it.
Just trust me.
Trust me. My strength will be your strength, and we'll see this through to the other side.
And you are smiling.
Every day.
Absolutely. And the power is there, and the hope is there. Praise God. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Next time I want to turn it around because I like your story too.
Now there's an idea. We'll try that one day.
God bless you.
God bless you. This is Dealing with Life. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith. So glad you are here. We will talk again soon.
You speak